Hello and welcome to Dmexco 2016. My name's Alex Brownsell, I'm the editor on M&M Global. We've joined today with PulsePoint to discuss what is probably going to be one of the hottest topics here at the event in Cologne, which is header bidding, how it's shaking up the industry, how publishers are trying to regain control of monetization, and perhaps what lessons markets in Europe like Germany can learn from the US and the UK. I'm joined here by a crack team of experts. Thank you very much all for joining me. If I could just ask you guys to introduce yourselves to the camera and then we'll get cracking with our discussion. So starting with you, Ben.
Right. So hi, my name is Ben Hancock. I am Global Head of Programmatic Trading at Turner Broadcasting, and the sites I work across are CNN International, Cartoon Network and Bleacher Report.
Hi, Emily Palmer from Reuters. I look after programmatic for EMEA.
I am Gareth Shaw from PulsePoint and I look after the EMEA region.
Now, all of you guys, I'm sure, are very familiar with this technology, but for some of our viewers that perhaps aren't quite so clued up on header bidding, Gareth, could you just give us a quick introduction to what this topic is all about and why everyone's so excited about it?
Yeah, sure. So header bidding is basically a technology that a publisher can put on the header of their page, hence the name, and it allows them to unify all of their demand. So bringing all their demand into one place so they can maximize their yield on an impression by impression basis, making sure they can get the highest possible price or the highest possible yield for that impression. And it's kind of born out of the waterfall model. So the waterfall is how most ad servers used to work. It's kind of like a static model. You have your kind of direct sold, might be like a sponsorship deal or a homepage takeover, there's run network, and then you kind of unguaranteed maybe network or more recently RTB buys, and it runs in sequence. And it's kind of like don't pass go until you've hit each sequence. So worked great when it was kind of very static demand, so you were selling to a network at a flat CPM, but now with the real-time bidding taking off, you can't really put people in order. Imagine a scenario, and this is a common scenario you have now, when you have your waterfall and you've got your RTB partners, and on average, you might have RTB partner 1, and they give you the most yield on average, so you put them at the top. And say there's an impression and they say, we'll give you $2 for that. And you're great, it's above my floor, I'll take it. RTB partner 2 underneath them might want to give you $2.50. And RTB partner 3 might want to give you $3 on this one impression. Now on average, you don't get the value out of those guys, but you're taking the $2 and leaving the $2.50 or the $3 on the floor because it has to run in sequence, hence why it's called waterfall. Header bidding takes that waterfall, rolls it all up, puts it at the top, and gives you the ability to say, I've got one at 2, one at 2.50, one at 3. Pull it in, look at it against your direct sold stuff as well, and then take the bid that's highest. And the ad server, if you set it up right, will always make sure you delivered your direct sold, so no one gets in any trouble for not honoring AIOs, but you're not leaving money on the table anymore. That's kind of what it is. Why it's sort of taken off, I think it's been around probably over a couple of years, but this year it's really started to take off. And I think the main reason for that is demand's starting to wake up. RTB, programmatic, when it came out, it was a little bit of a race to the bottom when it first came. Premium publishers like you guys probably were a little bit, people are just going to knock down my yields. And to a certain extent, a little bit that happened. But now, the demand, the agencies, the advertisers are kind of realizing the value of premium supply and premium publishers. And they're willing to pay for good stuff. There's a lot of display, mobile, there's a lot out there. And they're now realizing that getting the good content with the good audience is worth the money, and especially when you think that RTB allows them to overlay their own third-party and first-party data at the top, you're seeing much, much higher prices that sometimes can be, much higher than waterfall tiers, and in some cases much higher than direct sold. And there's a real advantage now for publishers to use tactics like header bidding to unify their auction, unify their demand, because it allows them to recognize that and see it. And I think previously when header bidding first came out, that demand wasn't there. So the advantages for a publisher is like, yeah, I can do it, but am I going to make any more money? Probably not. And I think the 2016 has been the year when the demand started putting that money in, and the publishers can now start to pull it out and increase their yields by going for it.
Yeah, I'm interested to know from you guys as publishers, is that a picture that you recognise, that you agree with? What have you been experienced in terms of the waterfall concept, and if header bidding is something that you've really gone into?
So from our point of view, I can completely understand Gareth's point about the waterfall, and I think within publishers there was a lot of frustration with how that works, and I think publishers began to recognise that there was a better way to do it, and certainly that was driven by what essentially started out as a bit of a hack to the traditional big ad servers, and a way of working around that. So at CNN, it's something that we've tested. So it's early stages yet. And we've seen some initial positive results. I think, as ever with new technologies, it's quite easy to initially see kind of a spike in yield, in fill, and then they can kind of peter out. So I think we really need to see what happens with it over the longer term as well. And I think from our point of view, I think looking at how we can offer our complete product to our clients. We've got really well established content solutions business, and now with header bidding through programmatic, we can offer, I think, essentially better access to data first and foremost for our clients.
What do you think, Emily? Is it something you agree with, or that you feel that Reuters has kind of looked into seriously?
Yes. So I think that one thing that's not talked about much is that publishers still have their own strategy, and not every publisher is using header bidder the same. You can still determine what can get first look. You can still allow or disallow, for example, private market to get a first look ahead of all of these open market buyers that could come through the different header bidder exchanges. There's with or without a wrapper. There's how many exchanges to accept or work with. I think that there's a lot of questions that publishers are asking themselves, around unique demand. Why should I add another exchange? It's not always just about near-term yield, So I think that there are some publishers that are doing too much, too fast, and is short-sighted.